Okay, we are recording for English 104. Let me share my screen so I can show you my Moodle page because I'm going to talk about that. All right, so like I said, on our Moodle page, at the top is the grades tab. The grades tab, you can see all the grades for our class so far. So anything that I've assigned to you will be visible. If I have not yet assigned to it, it's not visible. The words that are in dark black, those are categories. The assignments have a green link to them. They're green, okay? Now, you will see there's 3 columns. The first column is, I think, points, how many points it was worth. So for example, email etiquette, if I remember correctly, it was worth 21 points. And you'll see how many points out of 21 you got, 7 out of 21, 20 out of 20, whatever it is. The next column, I think, shows the actual percentage of what that is. So, I don't know, you got 10 out of 21, it'll show what percentage that is. And then the third column over, it says feedback. This is where you'll see comments from me on items. So quite often, although not always, quite often I will give a comment back. I primarily will give you feedback and comments if you did not score a perfect score. So for example, in the email etiquette, if you got, for whatever reason, 90%, in my feedback, I will usually tell you what were the things that affected grading, okay? Sometimes I will, you get perfect scores. Sometimes I will put in comments, nice job, well done, or, along those lines, but I don't do that all the time, okay? The only exception to where you're gonna find comments is discussion forums. When I grade the discussion forums, you will see the grade there, but you will not see my comments. You have to actually go into the discussion forum to see the feedback from me and your grading. So I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit and I just wanna show you where to look so you know. So for example, in module 2, where we have a discussion forum, sorry, I gotta scroll down here. You click into it, and as you scroll down, there's gonna be a gray box right here. Now mine says grade users because, hey, that's my job, I'm the teacher, right? But yours is gonna say something like grade. I think that's what it says. When you click on that grade box, it will open up the grading rubric and show you what I checked. So how many points you got in each category. And then it'll also have these little boxes at the end where I can put comments. Once again, I really want to caution you, or not caution, I just want to inform you. I don't put comments on every single thing, but you should look for them every single time. Because I do it quite often. So in the discussion forum, in order to see my comments, and it is very important that you look for my comments, particularly if you don't score a perfect score, because I will guide you on what it is or what you got to change. In this class, it's very important you look at the discussion forum comments every single time, even if you get 100%. The reason being is quite often in discussion forums, I may give you credit for something, but I will warn you about it so that you don't either repeat it or that you avoid it in the future. A really good example of this is in topics. So in module 2, the assignment says, you have to choose 3 possible topics. You have to come up with some keyword searching and some questions related to it, right? So maybe you fulfill that. You got 3 topics. You got maybe you picked abortion, maybe you picked capital punishment, and I don't know, sporting IDs. Okay, college students, I forget what it's called, PIN, personal image likeness, I think it's PIN, I don't know. Anyway, those are the ones that you chose, blah, blah, blah. You fulfilled what I asked you to do. But what you're gonna see in my comments back to you, I may give you credit for that. However, I'm gonna say, no, two of these topics, abortion and capital punishment, are on my topics to avoid document in the resources. And you're not gonna be allowed to use those. So, don't do any research in that area because you're wasting your time, right? Now I'll phrase it nicer, obviously, but I'm gonna try to guide you. Because in module 3, right away, you start researching for certain things. And maybe in your head, you have picked a particular topic. But you don't get a topic until I say, okay, it's a topic. Does that make sense? And if you wanna save yourself a lot of grief, or I should say, I don't know if it's grief. It's more of a, if you wanna save yourself time spent researching things that won't count, make sure you go through the resources. Look at the resources, look at the documents, read my instructions. Because I will tell you ahead of time, and I think that was one of my instructions in the announcement, be sure to review the topics to stay away from, document, okay? Familiarize yourself with it. Save yourself some trouble in the long run, okay? So I just want to kind of show you where feedback was. Like I said, the majority of the feedback, almost all assignments except discussion forum, will be on that grades page. You'll see the score for the forums, but you won't see the feedback for forums. You gotta go into the forum to see feedback on them. All right, so let's talk about some general things in the syllabus. In the syllabus, it's there, before we do that. Since most of you have used Moodle before, I'm working on the premise that you know this, but it's worth a mention. Anytime you see a green link or green writing on Moodle, it means it's a link to something. So, in FYI, this class has a lot of embedded links. There's a lot of them. So for example, in module 1, if you take a look, these are all green lettering. So when you click on them, something opens up, and then there's more green things in here. So research proposal instructions, when you click on that, if you saw that, it downloaded that instruction sheet for you, okay? So it really is in your best interest to make sure that you read and review things, and then anything with a green writing means we have hot linked it to either a document, a website, or some other thing that's gonna help you or take you there directly. Okay, so when we talk about the syllabus, it is found right there. It's the first item. And you just click on it and you can download it. And I strongly encourage all students to read the syllabus. The syllabus is kind of like a contract between the student and the teacher. It's really for the student's protection. It helps the student understand how that instructor is going to work in that class. And it also prevents the instructor from changing things on the student. And what I mean by that, if I say participation is weighted at 20% of the class, that means it's worth 20% of the grade. I can't, get the snit and then at the end they say, well, they didn't really do a lot of that. And yeah, I'm gonna make it worth 50%. You can't do that, right? What I state in the syllabus has gotta go. So it's kind of my promise to you, or kind of this. I don't want to use covenant, that's a little too strong, but it's really a vehicle to use to protect the student. It also tells you lots of good information you should probably know. There's policies in there, for example, the withdrawal policy. There is the late policy in there, so it tells you what late credit amounts are, that kind of a thing. It also, it tells you just some basic information like my office hours and times and all that kind of stuff. What I've done is I've tried to include what I call the really relevant things or the big things on the Moodle page. So for example, office hours, you're gonna see them on the Moodle page. There's the link if you wanna connect with me via Zoom. If you wanna connect with me in person, my office is right up here in the front of the building. My name's next to the door. You're always welcome to stop by during open hours. The other thing is a lot of the information I included in the starting information lesson. So if you went through that, which you all should have at this point, a lot of that I put in there. So if you don't wanna read the entire syllabus, I get it. But just know if you have a question on something and you're wondering about things, the syllabus is a great place to start. Because it will, show you, oh. Sorry, I, went to student mode thinking I was gonna be all clever and I realized I didn't do the strike lesson, okay. What else do you need to know? Okay, so let me point out a couple things on the syllabus, so. The first thing is I do accept late work for some assignments. And the bottom line is I accept late work on all assignments except discussion forums. Discussion forums are not accepted late for any reason, doesn't matter what it is. So, for example, if you, let's take worst case scenario, you forgot to do the email assignment or you forgot to do the introduction to research assignment. Those are 2 in module 1. You can still do them, you can still submit them, you're still gonna get credit. How much credit is based on the syllabus, what I say, it's FYI, it's 5% per day. Which is not very much at all, so in theory. Let's see, it was due Friday at 5, Saturday at 5, Sunday at 5, Monday at 5. If you get it in before 5 o'clock today. It would only be whatever it is, 2 points off because it's worth 21, right? After 5 o'clock today, now you're 4 days late with it. And so 4 days is 20%, right? 5, 10, 15, 20. The email etiquette is worth 21 points, right? 20% of that would be 4 points. Right? So instead of 21, if you scored a perfect score on it, instead of 21, you would get. Anybody?
16.
No, almost 17,
Well,
because it's 4.
half.
I know, I was working backwards myself. So that's my point to you. So if you miss things, it's in your best interest, get them in sooner rather than later. Now, the exception to this is I do not accept late work or makeup work for discussion forums. Discussion forum is your participation. So if you haven't done it, it's like you've been gone for 7 days. Because all modules open Fridays, roughly 5:01. And they are all due the next week by Friday at 5. So they're open 7 days. So if you notice, this, everything in module 1 was due Friday at 5, and then module 2 opened right away at 5:01. All the modules are set up that way, that's how this class is gonna run, Friday to Friday. So you have 7 whole days to get whatever you need to get done within that module. So my theory is if you have not done the discussion forum that's been assigned, you were gone for 7 days, it's like you're absent, and you cannot make that up. What I mean by that is, if you miss class, whatever, 2 times, there's no way you can go back in time and be there, right? It is what it is. That doesn't mean you can't do the work associated with it, that kind of thing. But for discussion forum, because we're working with online, high flex, and in person, that is my measure of participation. So the good news is if you miss a physical class session, not gonna touch your grade. You miss a discussion forum, discussion forums are measures of participation, and that is in the 20% category. So all of the discussion forums will build, and all of them together are gonna be worth 20% of your grade. I don't have a discussion forum every module, but I have them in a lot of them, so, kind of pay attention to it. What else do I need? Are there questions that you have, or that you're wondering about that you want me to answer or address, or whether it be syllabus, the Moodle page, I don't know, the way I roll, any of that kind of stuff? Yeah, go for it, hold on, I gotta practice, Daviana, okay.
Okay, so is the discussion forum the assignment that's due on Friday?
Correct.
Is the activity?
Correct, so good question, so let me kind of roll this in. The Moodle course page is set up the same way every single module. So, for lack of a better word, let's start at module 1. if you notice, they're all gonna have whatever, some type of an overview at the top. The objectives, these are the objectives that are mandated either by my department or the college that say, hey, students are gonna be able to do this by the end, right? And then we have a task list. Now, the task list is where I tell you, hey, these are the things you need to do in order to be able to achieve those objectives, right? And then resources. Resources are exactly what they're sounding like. They are a resource. They're not graded, nothing. Most often, they're either videos or documents and information that you need to know in one way, shape, or another. Then we have more. Now, in this case, I have sample research proposals. These are also resources, right? You won't see that every time, but that's resources. And then activities and assignments. The only things that are graded within this course are contained within activities and assignments. So that's the category. Anything in that category, it's graded. Anything in any other category is not graded. But it is there for you. Look, now, can students complete the activities and assignments without looking at my resources? Yeah, I'm sure it's been done, right? I don't recommend it, but you know, we all make our choices. If you find yourself having trouble, like, I don't know, what the heck, then go back to the resources and start looking through them, because that's gonna help guide you. You can always ask me a question as well, by the way. So in module 1, I'm just gonna jump backwards. In module 1, there were 2 assignments. The first one was Introduction to English 104 Research, and you just click into them and new windows open up. So for this one, I gave you a little instruction, and then you notice, hey, there's that green link right there. I'm telling you, download that file and then do your answers on that form. So I downloaded it, I opened it, it looked like this, right? And I'm gonna put my answers right on this form. Let me move this out of the way really quick. Oh, it's an unlicensed product, you're such a jerk. Okay. So anyways, when you download this, I've already put it in Microsoft Word. This is a Word document. So then all you have to do is you go through and you have to answer and fill in where it asks you. So like this one is the first one. Find out as much as you can in 10 minutes, write what you found out about whatever subject. And so you type it right on the document, right? And then you scroll through. The second part of this is down at the end. And I tell you, okay, you gotta tell me 2 challenges you think you're gonna face. So you could have either, you know, highlighted 2 of them, or you could have typed 2 in if I didn't list it. When you're done, you save the document, save it under a different name, and then you're gonna upload it right in that same spot. So instead of grade, yours will say submit. When you click submit, a box opens, you can upload your file. And then you have completed that one on Moodle, okay? For the other one, second here, this is the exception to my Moodle rule. For email etiquette, and again, you click into it, the box opens. I give you, here's the assignment, here's the files. You'll notice I gave you the assignment instructions and I gave you the grading rubric. So this is part of that transparency thing. I don't want to hide from you what I'm going to be grading at. I want you to know what I'm going to grade at. I want you to know what I'm looking at. So I usually provide the grading rubric for all assignments. If you look at that grading rubric, it's going to show you the categories, how much each of them are worth, how to get a 1, how to get a 5, those kinds of things. So that you know, if you're going for a perfect score, you know, oh, I gotta hit these in all categories, so make sure your email has those, okay? This one, you don't upload to Moodle. This one, you literally gotta send me an email. So you just go over to Gmail, and by the way, use your official SMC account. Type in my first initial last name, it'll pop up my address, I give it to you there in the instructions. Send me an email, make sure you adhere to all those things within the instructions. Okay, that was module 1. And I know, sorry, I'm taking a long way, Daviana, had to go out, it looks like. I'm taking a long way to the introduction forum, or to the forum for her question, but I wanted to kind of show you how the assignments work in here. So in module 2, you'll notice there's only one assignment. Okay? And it's a forum. That little symbol means it's a forum, a discussion forum. Once again, you click on the link and it opens up. And I tell you up here, okay, here are some things like due dates, why do I want you to do this, et cetera, et cetera. And then I give you the instructions for your post here. So these are the things you need to read to figure out, okay, what do I need to have in my post, right? You have to adhere to all of those things or include all of those things, right? And then I also give you instructions for your reply. So in all the discussion forums, they are the same. You must post at least once, and you must reply to others, to peers, at least twice. So you also, and when you're doing your 2 replies, you have to reply to 2 different people. You can't reply to the same person twice, like, you know, a kind of a back and forth type thing. You have to choose 2 other people. So I try to be detailed enough, so that you understand, okay, these are all the things I gotta have in my post. These are all the things I'm gonna have to do in my replies, okay? In order to do that, down at the bottom, all the way down, remember I said right here is where you can see the grading rubric, so if you wanna know ahead of time, ooh, what, you know, what's a grading rubric look like for, you know, my discussion forum, okay? You can look at it ahead of time, it'll be blank. And then after the due date, when I grade, you'll see dots in the level of each category of what you scored. And then for you, if you wanna post, you simply go add discussion topic, a new box opens, okay? And you know, you wanna subject, do it, you know, something clever, research topic, whatever it's about. And then here's the box, and you do your typity type, whatever your information is, and then you're gonna post it, okay? Now, a couple of words of caution on discussion forums. 1, they sometimes time out. You can go back in and edit and those kinds of things, but it's usually a 5-minute window. So let's say you type something and you're like, oh no, I forgot to include this, you have 5 minutes, you can go back in. But after that, it closes, it won't let you go back in. And you'll have to do another post, which is fine. I will just look at both posts to make sure that you adhere to whatever it is. The second, I guess a word of advice on this is I recommend to students compose all your work in Word, Microsoft Word. Get it all on a page, and when you've got it looking all pretty, all that kind of stuff, copy and then paste it in your text box. The reason being is the text box there does not have all the good bells and whistles that Word does. Things like spell check, I don't know what else it does, grammar check, you know, there's all kinds of cool things you can do in Word that it will help you write or edit better. So use all those tools, but do it over in Word. When you're done, then pop it in the box, okay? The other part of this, in general, for our class, just so you know, Microsoft Word is required for this course. It's actually required for all the English courses, as far as I know. So if you don't already have Microsoft Word on your computer in one way, shape, or another, don't buy it. You can get a free version of it. I think it's called Office 365. And that will get you for whatever you need. Now, if you are technologically intimidated, and you're like, oh, I don't really know how to download free stuff, that kind of thing. Take your computer, go to the help desk. They will walk you through it so that it's done correctly and you don't have any issues. Same thing with the TLC. A lot of times the TLC will help you with that as well. I do provide a link to the free version. I think it's the official Microsoft Word page or Office 365 page. That's in the syllabus. It's also in student support services on our Moodle page, right? But if you just feel more comfortable Someone, I just wanna make sure it's working and I've got it downloaded correctly, blah, blah, blah. Definitely get that technology support, it's great. The other part of that is if you're having trouble with it, you can't get it to do what you need it to do, or it's not working the way you think it should be, then you definitely wanna reach out to IT. I am happy to help you if I know it, right? But the problem is I'm not techno savvy on all the bells and whistles of all these kinds of things. Our IT department is, that's why you go to the help desk. Make sense? Okay, now Debiana, I'm sorry, I did talk about the introduction form, but essentially. So for example, in the introduction form, let me just quick show you one more time. Maybe. Yes, I wanna leave this site. For introduction forms, you simply click into the link. And then a new box will open. And within this, I give you the instructions for posting. And then I give you instructions for replies. And then down at the bottom, there's a button where you can add discussion topics. So when you click that, the box opens and you can type in there and then you can post. The replies work the same way, except when you want to reply, you simply click on the person's name that you want to reply to. So there's quite a few who have already posted. So I'm just going to demonstrate this really fast. I'll just do the top one. So I can read this person's post. And now if I want to reply down here, there's a little button, right? A little hot link. And then a new box opens and I can reply directly to them and then post it to the forum. Now, does that sufficiently answer? I mean, I took a long way to get to your question and I apologize. But does that answer your question that you had on forums? Okay. There will come a time, like if you wanna add files, you wanna upload pictures, those kinds of things. It's called an advanced feature in the forums. I have a video on it. When we get a little closer, I'm gonna talk about it again, and then I will, direct you to, you're welcome to look at anything if you want. I just don't wanna overwhelm you with information and confuse you. You don't need to upload anything in this particular forum, so I would just prefer you follow the old school typity type and put in your information. One of the things that will caution you on discussion forums is, I do look at mechanics. Although it's a discussion forum, you are in a writing class, you're in a composition class in particular, and you're in an academic arena. So everything that you write and submit should always try to be at the best level you can. What does that mean? It means use capitals. You know how to use capital, use a capital letter. You should never start a sentence without a capital letter, right? You never use the letter I alone without capitalizing it, right? Use punctuation. Part of the problem, I think, because I'm a little bit older, I think a lot of us are so used to texting, we've gotten out of the habit of writing what I would say correctly. So even though it's a discussion forum, yeah, that's part. If you look at my grading rubric, you're gonna see that's a category, mechanics. Now, we all make a typo, so once in a while, or one is not gonna be, but if I see a pattern, or I'm thinking, what? Yeah, you're gonna see that in the grading. So just be mindful that I want you to write to the best of your ability for those things. That, by the way, that doesn't mean you need to use $5 words. It's not about the level of vocabulary. It is about readability for what you're writing and getting the information on. Okay, I covered some items in module 1. I did say the only thing in module 2 is the discussion forum, and it's on topic. So if we look at our resources, one of them is brainstorming topics resource. These are resources, and again, you would say, well, there's nothing there. Well, it's because you gotta look for the green lettering. So for example, right there, this links you to a research proposal, instructions, and grading rubric. The proposal's not due yet, and you'll notice you had the same thing up in module 1. The research proposal isn't due yet, but what you're gonna find is I provide these things to you very early in case you wanna look ahead and look at, oh, that's gonna be coming up. So one of your first major writing assignments is going to be the research proposal. This course, and let me kind of show you on the board a second, but this course, the entire course is building or scaffolding to allow you to be able to submit a persuasive research essay at the end of the course. So, roughly that last week, okay? We do this in 3 steps, 3 major writing steps. So think of it as like 3 units. There are 3 units for this course. The first unit is the research proposal. And that's what we're gonna be working and building to right now, right? We're starting to do some things. Research proposal is, for lack of a better word, kind of like your map or your game plan of, okay, these are the things I'm gonna need to do, kind of looking at a timeline of when I think I'm gonna do them, and some resources I'm gonna be able to get, or I need to get in order to be able to do that. Does that make sense? So the research, so obviously I'm not gonna go into too deep right now, but if you wanna look at, okay, what is research proposal, trying to know about, that's that document. I will probably be talking about that next week. The second unit is the annotated bibliography. And the annotated bibliography, again, just short story of it, is basically you are researching and you have your resources and you have applicable notes about them that you're gonna be able to integrate into the essay or use them in different places in the essay. Okay, so summarizations, quoting, all those kinds of things. The final phase is the drafting of the essay and publishing it. Publishing means you're turning it into. Okay? And that'll be the final stage. We take quite a bit of time with these 2, because these 2 are scaffolding and helping you build. You're gonna be pulling from these to be doing your drafting and your publication, right? So when you go to that drafting and publication stage, you should have a wealth of stuff that we've built up either through your research notes, assignments, those kinds of things, okay? That you're gonna be pulling from to hopefully make your drafting easier, right? You're not just gonna be sitting down and writing a paper, okay? So if you wanna look at the research proposal, there it is. There are other things in here. So for example, there's a YouTube video, brainstorming research topics if you have no idea what to do. Again, I've mentioned this a couple of times. Topics to stay away from and questions for choosing a topic. Okay, these are all resources. You need to take the time, look through, read, and do them, okay? Now, again, none of this is graded. So, in theory, can a student just hop into the activities and not even look at any of this stuff or read my stuff? Yeah, you can, but I can tell you quite often that's a difference in scoring. Right, if you have not thoroughly looked through resources and really read through the information and understanding it and looked at the link, it'll affect your final scoring because you're either missing things or it's not done at the level it needs to be. Okay, I've already mentioned this a couple times, but that document's very important to you, topics to stay away from. But essentially you're going through all of those things, so it's a little deceptive for this particular this module. You look at it, it's like, oh, I've only got 1 discussion forum. I can talk about anything all the time. It's right there. I'm gonna do that. But really, where's a lot of your time this week? A lot of your time should be going through those resources, getting yourself familiar with that information before you go in and do that introduction, or not introduction, before you do that discussion forum. Okay? Because there's only 1 item and I've dedicated the entire week to it, that should tell you something. It should tell you it's not a quick and easy. It's gonna take some time. So give yourself the time to do it, Now, that being said, at any point, if you have questions, concerns, all that kind of stuff, just reach out, email me. We can do a Zoom call, I can answer by email. I am in my office today, noon to 1. You're welcome to stop by today, today's Tuesday, all that kind of thing. All right. That's it. So right now, let me just kind of. I think that's it. I'm gonna stop recording and then I'm gonna take questions and we'll talk about a couple more things. So let me stop share. Let me stop recording.